Welcome back, everyone. All right, so once you've downloaded Blender here, you can go ahead and open it here, and it should look like this. Now, whether you're on a PC or a Mac, it's pretty much going to be the same thing. The only thing that's going to change is the shortcuts. That's pretty much going to be the only difference. Although the cool part is that you can use this on both platforms. So you can go ahead and click in there. And if you haven't taken the 1 hour Blender series at Mammoth Interactive, I highly recommend taking that. Just because everything that I explained in here will be a part of that course. And if you ever feel lost, you should go take that course first. Okay. So, in this tutorial series, we're going to learn how to model computers. So, one thing that we're going to do is, and at least the way Blender works, is that you start off with what they call a primitive in here. And so this is a primitive, it's a cube. In other 3D modeling programs, you don't start off with anything, but with Blender, what they do is you have this cube and you model it to your heart's content. So, this is going to be actually much easier than it sounds here. We're going to tab into edit mode, and we're going to go ahead and select face select, and we're going to go and click here, and I'm just going to move this down like that here. Okay, so let's make a monitor to start off with, because monitors are pretty easy to make here. It shouldn't take that long. Now, one of the things that I like to do with 3D modeling is that I like to make sure that that you can use the model within a game, and what that means is that if you want to use it in, let's say, a game or an interactive environment, it has to be as low poly as possible, meaning that you don't want to add in as much geometry as you can. But don't worry, we're going to talk a little bit more about that here. So I'm actually going to tab back into object mode here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push scale, and what this does is that this makes everything bigger here, but I'm going to push X so we scale it along the X axis just like that. Okay, now let's tab back into edit mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to push 3, and what 3 does is it changes the view. So what we'll do is we'll push extrude and then right click here. Now let's hop back and just kind of move it like this here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scale this in by pushing S. And what this does here is you have to push extrude first before you scale it in there. And so this here is going to be our base here. So I'm just going to extrude this up just like that here. Okay, and you can see here how this is going here. Now, one of the things that's really important is by pushing E to extrude and then just right clicking, you can scale it to whatever you want here. So in this case, I am going to scale it like that here. And one thing, actually, I'm just going to push Control Z a couple times. One of the things that you actually do, and I'm just going to push E to extrude again, is whenever you scale something bigger, what you do is you extrude it you extrude it once more. So, by the way, if you push E to extrude and then you push Z to lock it on the Z axis, you just want to do this here, and that way it just makes the geometry work a little bit better. It's kind of like a buffer in between these two zones. So I'm going to push E to extrude again, right click, and then scale it out like that. And so this is going to be the actual monitor here. Okay, and what we can do here is we can scale it. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to scale it along the y-axis just to make it a little bit thinner. Now, you can move this up here, and you can see that this is actually looks like a pretty cool base here. Now, what we're also going to do is we're going to push E to extrude, and you can lock it to the z-axis if you want. Okay, and there we go. Now, really, we could have a monitor just like this. And we could probably just end it like that here. But there's a couple things that need to be done first. Let's go ahead and let's select this face here. I'm going to push scale. Actually, I'm going to push E to extrude, and then right click, and I'm going to push scale. I'm going to scale this inward, not too much, just a bit, and then I'm just going to simply move it back, just like that. And there you go. You can see that you have a nice, cool little monitor here. Now, if we really wanted to, we could do the same thing for the back here. So I'm going to push E to extrude, right click, scale it in just a bit, And then I'm just going to push extrude, and that gives it kind of a back there, which actually looks kind of neat when you think about it. And you can even scale that in if you want. And then of course there's going to be, you know, you can, if you really wanted to, you could add in all of the rest of the ports and whatnot. But for the most part, this is used for visualization, and this is actually sufficient. If you really wanted to, again, you can add in the ports and whatnot there. But for a starting lecture, this is pretty good. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.